The night glittered with elegance, power, and polished smiles, but beneath the surface, something far deeper was about to unfold. She walked into the gala like she owned the world, every step confident, every glance demanding attention. To her, this was just another night of status and control. But across the room stood a quiet waitress, someone she didn't even notice at first. What she was about to say, and who that woman truly was, would change everything she believed about herself. She arrived surrounded by admiration, her presence drawing eyes the moment she stepped onto the marble floor. Conversations paused, compliments followed, and the energy shifted around her. She had grown used to this, being seen, being recognized, being respected. It had shaped how she carried herself, how she spoke, how she viewed others. To her, the world was structured clearly, those who belonged in the spotlight, and those who served around it. Across the hall, the waitress moved quietly, balancing trays, responding politely, blending into the background as she had learned to do over the years. Her movements were calm, practiced, almost invisible. She didn't seek attention, and she didn't expect recognition. Yet there was a quiet dignity in the way she carried herself, something steady, something grounded, something that didn't rely on anyone else's approval. Their paths crossed without intention. A simple moment, a tray, a glance, a misstep in timing, and suddenly they were facing each other. The reaction was immediate. The daughter's expression tightened, her voice sharp as she spoke words that carried more weight than she realized. It wasn't just frustration, it was dismissal, a reflection of how easily she categorized people without knowing them. The room noticed. Not loudly, not openly, but in subtle shifts, in glances exchanged between guests, in the quiet pause that followed. The waitress remained composed, her expression unchanged, her voice calm as she responded. There was no defensiveness, no argument, just a quiet acknowledgement. And somehow, that composure made the moment even more powerful. As the evening continued, the daughter brushed it off, returning to conversations, laughter, and the familiar rhythm of attention. But something lingered. A small discomfort, barely noticeable at first, began to grow. It wasn't guilt, not yet, but a sense that something about that interaction hadn't felt right. She pushed it aside, focusing instead on the image she had always maintained. Meanwhile, the waitress continued her work, moving through the room with the same quiet presence. But internally, something had shifted. Not because of the words spoken, she had heard worse before, but because of the familiarity in the moment. There was something about the daughter's voice, her expression, something that echoed a memory she had long tried to keep distant. Later in the evening, a conversation nearby began to reveal fragments of a story the daughter had never fully understood. Mentions of the past, of a separation, of choices made long ago. Names were spoken, details hinted at, and slowly, a connection began to form. At first, it felt impossible, too distant, too unlikely. But the more she listened, the harder it became to ignore. Her attention shifted back to the waitress. This time, she didn't see just a server moving through the room. She noticed the small details, the way she spoke, the way she carried herself, the subtle expressions that now felt strangely familiar. A question formed in her mind, one she wasn't sure she wanted answered. But curiosity pushed her forward. When they spoke again, the tone was different. The confidence was still there, but now it was mixed with hesitation. Questions replaced assumptions, and the conversation moved slowly, carefully. The waitress responded with the same calm presence, but there was a depth in her eyes now, a recognition, a quiet understanding of where this might lead. The truth didn't come all at once. It unfolded in pieces, in shared memories, in details that aligned too perfectly to ignore. And when it finally became clear, the impact was immediate. The daughter stood still, the weight of realization settling in. The woman she had dismissed, the one she had spoken to without thought, was someone far more important than she could have imagined. Silence filled the space between them. Not uncomfortable, not tense, just heavy with meaning. The daughter's perspective shifted in an instant, everything she believed about herself and her past suddenly incomplete. Words felt insufficient, explanations unnecessary. What mattered was the understanding that had finally surfaced. The waitress, now no longer just a background presence, remained composed. She didn't demand anything, didn't expect a reaction. Her strength had never depended on recognition, and it didn't begin now. But there was a quiet openness in her stance, a willingness to acknowledge the moment without forcing it. As the night came to an end, the atmosphere felt entirely different. Same room, the same people, but everything had changed. The daughter left not with the same confidence she had arrived with, but with something deeper. Awareness, reflection, and a growing understanding of what truly mattered. As the night came to an end, the atmosphere felt entirely different. Same room, the same people, but everything had changed. The daughter left not with the same confidence she had arrived with, but with something deeper. Awareness, reflection, and a growing understanding of what truly mattered. Because sometimes, the most important truths are hidden in the moments we overlook. And sometimes, the person we fail to see is the one who changes everything.